It's time to get in the game.
Get in the game.
Hello and welcome to the Get in the Game podcast, the podcast where we explore ways to get off the sidelines, stop making excuses, and get in the game. I'm your coach, Trevor Dean, and today we are going over the subject of excellence. We're going to jump right into our anchor verse. That is Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, do your work heartily, as for the Lord, rather than for men. This is relevant to what we're going to be talking about in terms of excellence. Jesus is our example as Christians in how to live. And he's the absolute embodiment of what excellence is in the Christian faith. He came and lived a perfect life. He came to be the sacrifice that we could never pay for our sins so that we may be forgiven and reconciled with God. In doing everything with excellence, to me, it's kind of a show of respect to whatever it is that you're doing. To go back to our anchor verse, Colossians 3:23, if whatever we're doing in life is for the glory of God, then God deserves our best just out of the respect for what he's done for us. He sent his son, Jesus, to live that perfect life for us. And then the least we could do for those of us who are Christians is to live our lives to the best of our ability for him, work and do everything for God, for Jesus, out of the respect for what he's done for us. And it doesn't always have to be with your faith too, but when I was coaching, this was integrated in me through my head coach at the time, and it's the same head coach that I played for. So both as a player and as a coach, I had this ingrained in me that everything we do has got to be with excellence. I think of a specific example, and that is the gym setup for practice, for matches that we host, for tournaments that we host, or any other program that we do that has our name on it as the volleyball program for that school. It's presenting yourself in the best light to give out a good product. And it's not just a good product, but it's also something that you can take pride in, knowing that if we can do these little things right, setting up the gym every day the right way, cleaning the floors, bringing out the equipment, treating it all with respect, it shows that we really want to get better at the little things so then we can get better at the bigger things. I've come to know that as a coach in my sport of volleyball, it's so much more than a 3 out of 5 match in terms of running a program. There's so many more things to it. And just doing those little things, like when you'd set up a gym, you'd make sure all the nets are the right height and the floors are swept, and there's equipment from other sports that may be in the corners that are hidden away, that not only do you get out of the way because you don't want to look at it because it looks cluttered and it looks it's not aesthetically pleasing, but also it can be dangerous in terms of the gameplay, whether in practice or in a match. And just having it out there so when people come in, whether it's another team or visitors for a tournament, or even if it's your athletic director who's coming in just to see you guys practice for the day, that you have a gym that's set up and you take pride in the facilities that you have. And as a coach, I took pride in that, in not only instilling it in the players that I coached, but also myself, knowing that I needed to have the gym in a certain order. And if it wasn't done by the players by the time practice started, then I would be the one that needed to finish it. Because the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And as a coach, I wanted to be diligent and I wanted to be excellent in the way that I brought myself to everyday practice and the games and the matches and tournaments that we put on. And to me, it was just a form of respect, not only to my coach, but to the sport itself and to the school for allowing us to practice in these facilities, it shows respect for everything that's been given to you to bring out the love of the sport that you have. It's important to me to come across that way and let you guys know that first and foremost, it is a respect issue to do things an excellent way and with an excellent attitude, an excellent effort, because we're not going to be perfect in everything that we do, but the way we go about it, the effort we give, the attitude we have doing it, shows a form of respect that is, in my opinion, lacking as we progress further and further in time. But what does actually giving an excellent effort or having an excellent attitude have to do with getting in the game? Well, for one, it increases the progress in whatever you are doing. Like I said before, you're not going to do everything excellent in outcome every single time. But when you give the right effort with the right attitude, you progress little by little, and eventually things get a little easier to do. But you perform it at a higher and higher quality the more and more you practice at it. And the higher quality leads to a confidence. And when you play or practice with confidence, you're able to add more and more to your plate. I just, as a player, it kind of reminds me, or an athlete, it reminds me of when I was younger. My first sport was t-ball, baseball, sort of thing. But I can remember the times where I was taught how to throw a ball and how to hit a baseball, how to swing a bat, how to throw a ball. Little by little, you work on little skill by little skill. You go out and you hit numerous balls off the tee, trying to get good contact. And little by little, you work on your mechanics. And over time, you learn how to swing a little harder or push the ball to a different part of the field. And this isn't just in terms of weeks, but in years. And same with throwing a ball. At first, you might just have a ball and you throw it. It might be instinctual, but then someone teaches you how to step and how to point your shoulder and how to follow through. And then later, you learn how to throw with certain arm angles, and your elbow and shoulders are pointing a certain way. And then that leads to, if you become a pitcher, pitching off of a mound and learning how to throw home, and you have a windup and a different type of follow through. And if you're a catcher, you're catching out of a squat position, and you have a quick release down to second base or first base, trying to pick people off, and it just builds on itself. And you're able to add more and more as time goes on if you do the little things in an excellent way. And that, to me, is one of the biggest reasons for doing things with an excellent attitude and an excellent effort. Because everything that we want to do, we want to get better at. If we're stepping into something new, we know we're not going to be perfect at it if it's honestly new. But we do need to build upon each other. We need to get into a certain schedule. We need to do it excellently. We need to be doing it with integrity, knowing that I'm not going to miss an appointment or a practice, and I am going to work on these little skills with the best effort I have and the best attitude I have, so I can literally build upon itself, get better, do it at a better quality, get more confident in it, so then I can add more skills to it. I spent a lot of my life playing music as well. It's something you guys might not know about me. Some of you who are listening do know that about me. It was important to my parents to learn an instrument. I started off playing piano, and then about 5 or 6 years into that, I took up guitar as well, and I played piano and guitar for a couple years together. And then I can still play guitar to this day. But learning an instrument at the beginning it's so hard. I mean, I remember going back and just learning the first position of where middle C was and putting your hands there. And then you learn just what the names of the notes are, and it builds upon each other. And then you learn your first scale, and you learn it's just the little things over and over. And then eventually you're playing music. And this is over a long period of time. But my point is, you have to start small. You have to do it with the best effort, and you have to do it with your best attitude. When it comes to music, when it comes to piano, I didn't really want to do it, so I didn't necessarily have the best attitude. And so I drug my heels a lot, and I didn't ever become the piano player that I wanted to be or that I could have been, because I did drag my feet a little bit. When I got the opportunity to play guitar, I was all in. I didn't quite take the same avenue as I did with piano. I didn't necessarily learn the music like I did with that instrument, but I played a lot more. I practiced more because it was an instrument that I chose to play. Piano was the bass that we all had to play. And I say we all as in all of my brothers. So all 5 of us learned how to play the piano. And then we got a choice later if we wanted to play a different instrument or stop altogether. And I chose to, play guitar while doing athletics as well. But the like I said, the point I have is, when I had the choice to do it for what I wanted to do, I put a better effort into it, and I got better quicker in guitar than I did in terms of the time frame I did with piano. Part of it was that I'm a little older, have a little bit better control over my dexterity and my fingers, but I got better quicker because of the effort and the attitude I put into it. Honestly, I've talked about many times in these episodes that another reason that we do things with excellence is because it builds trust. Whether that's trust in others or it's trust in yourself, or maybe it's just, excellence just has a major role to play in the trust department. When your effort, practice, and your attitude are saturated with excellence, yourself and others have no other choice but to trust that everything you are doing is to the best of your ability. When people trust you, including yourself, that's when you get chances to showcase that excellence. If you are giving your best attitude and your best effort and you do it day in and day out, as a coach, I'm going to give the player with that type of approach to practice and to the games, they're going to get more time of a showcase on the court to show off that excellence, because I can trust them that when times get hard, they're not going to lower their effort and then have a bad attitude. They're going to do that. They're going to have the approach of excellence in everything that they do. So I'm never going to have to worry about, do I need to take them out because their attitude is dipping, or they're hard to manage on the court, or they're not getting along with other players. But on the opposite, teams that go through the motions in practice and also in their other responsibilities, you'll always be guessing if they plan on turning on the switch when it comes to game time. Those are the teams that make seasons feel very, very long, because you can't trust the effort. When it's less than excellent, it becomes harder and harder to trust them. And you just you sit there and you wonder, what team am I going to get today? What player is going to show up? Are they going to be the one that wants to compete and is going to give me everything they have on the court? Or are they going to be the ones that is going to bring the problem that they had at school with a friend or with a teacher, or a problem at home? Are they going to bring that onto the court and not give an effort that the rest of the team deserves and the rest of the team needs to be successful? And so having a mindset of excellence and doing everything that way is going to build trust between your teammates, your coaches, your coworkers. It doesn't always have to be athletics. I know that's the way I think, and I'm sorry for those of you who don't have that kind of thought process, but your teammates can be anything. It doesn't always have to be with sport. But this, like I said, it doesn't just lend itself to the team setting. If you knew that something wasn't constructed or finished, or if you knew that it was constructed or finished with less than an excellent plan or design, or an effort, would you trust it? If it was an elevator or a bridge, or maybe it's a business that you're thinking about investing in, if you knew that it was poorly made, that people cut corners, or that the management wasn't great, or they let their employees slack off in terms of investing in it, is that something that you would want to put your money into, or that you'd want to walk across if you knew that it was, less than excellently produced? My answer would be no. And I hope that yours would too. For us Christians out there, those of you who are listening, would you go to a local church if you knew that it wasn't run with excellence or with sound biblical doctrine? If you couldn't trust the staff in those regards, there's no way you would choose that church. I mean, it would be a poor judgment on your call to then go to that church and say, this is where I want to make my church home. You wouldn't do it. And so in our lives, whether we're trusting ourselves or we're trusting others, we have to do things in an excellent way, and we have to demand excellence for those things that we want to invest in or that we want to partake in. When we don't have it, it's hard to trust it, and then it makes things a lot tougher. When we do get a chance to step out and try something new, even when done in excellence, it doesn't always come without a risk. If you want to be excellent and you're willing to put yourself out there, then you definitely run the risk of failing or not being as successful as you'd like to be. But stepping up and risking it puts you far above those who never try at all. In the Bible, in the book of Matthew 25:29, there's this verse: "To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have in abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away." And to put some context into this, it's a story, it's a parable from Jesus, and he was talking about a master who was fairly wealthy, and he had 3 servants. The master was going away on a long trip, and he gave his 3 servants, they're called talents, but it's a certain sum of money. And he gave one servant 5,000 talents. He gave the next one 2,000 talents, and he gave a third one 1,000 talents. So as he went away, he said, use this money and be good stewards of it. Go make money, invest it, and I'm paraphrasing. Go do that with my money, and when I come back, we'll see what you've made from it. So the first servant took his 5,000 talents and he invested it, and he made 5,000 more. And then the second servant took 2,000 and invested it and made 2,000 more. So the first one has 10,000 talents. The second one has 4,000 now. And then the last servant was afraid to go out and invest it for fear of losing it, because he knew that the master was shrewd and a good business person, and he didn't want to lose it and have that master be mad at him. So he buried it in the ground, put it in the earth, and then when he came back, he dug it back up. So when the master came back after his trip, he asked him how they did, and then he praised the first 2 for what they did for it and said, if you've heard of it before, it's that, well done, good and faithful servant. What you've done is great. And he told him that, and then when he asked the last servant what he did, he goes, "Look, I have your money. I was afraid to lose it, so I buried it. Here's all your money back." And he called him a wicked servant from it, basically because he wasn't willing to risk it and go out there and make something of it. And so at the end of this parable, this verse that I just read, and I'll read it again, Matthew 25:29, it says, "To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away." And so it is a very good example of, if you are not willing to put the risk in, you're never going to build upon those talents that you may have. And I love the fact that they're called talents, because obviously in our English language now, a talent might be a skill, or playing an instrument or singing. And if you don't use it, then eventually you are going to it's going to wither away, and it's never going to be good for anything. And I say, playing an instrument or singing, and that kind of makes me think about music. My wife and I like to watch these singing competitions. One of our favorites it's called Songland, and it's about independent, non-professional songwriters who come into this studio, and there is a famous band or singer looking to buy a new song, and there's three very accomplished producers, and the non-professional songwriters there's four of them, and then they compete. They present their song, and then three are chosen to revamp their song with one of the producers, and then re-present it to the singer or the band for their choice to which one they're gonna buy and put on their next album. And in each little interview they have with the non-professional, they always say about what their regimen is, and how much they play, how much they sing and songwrite. And it just goes to show you that they have this talent, but they're not satisfied with it, because every single one of them says that this is what they want to do. And because this is what they want to do, and they know they're supposed to do, they're writing and they're playing every single day. They're writing a new song, or they're finishing up a song every single day. They're not satisfied with just saying, oh, you know what? I had a really good song. I'm going to play that, and I'm going to get really, really good at it. And I'm only going to learn this one song, and I'm going to blow it out of the water. Because what happens when that person says, what else you got? And you have nothing else. Well, the other ones are then prepared for it and have these songs that they're just ready to, I have 1,000 songs I can present you, but the other one just has the one. And to me, that's kind of like that wicked servant. I came up with this one song, and I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, because I'm afraid to write a bunch and never get good at one. Yet these other singer-songwriters are getting so good at honing their craft and perfecting what God has given them, and then they're ready for anything that comes their way. Anytime someone says, what else you got? Or I'm looking for a song with this kind of beat or this kind of feel to it, they're ready for it. And so I've heard this before. In order to win, you have to be willing to lose. And so at the end of this show, one of those non-professional artists ends up being chosen, and the other two that got to revamp their song obviously now have a song they can kind of put into their portfolio, but they didn't quote unquote win, but they learned so much. They were able to work with, their talent got them to a point where they were able to work with these incredible producers to help them just perfect and sharpen their craft even just that much more. So like I said, you have to be willing to lose in order to win. You have to put yourself out there. And if you don't, then you're never going to be able to win. Because in order to win the game, you have to get in the game. You have to be willing to take a step forward and say, you know what, forget it all. I'm going forward, and I'm going to give it everything I have. And I'm going to do it with excellence. And I'm going to do it with integrity. And I'm going to use the people around me to sharpen me and keep me accountable. So like over the last 3 episodes, I've gone over those things: integrity, teamwork, and now excellence. And I believe that all 3 of these values not only build upon each other, but each one is fully intertwined with the other 2. And then together they continue to build you up in character and ability. The beauty of it all is that we're not going to get it right all the time. We're going to make mistakes, or we'll get frustrated with our competency and our ability. But if we stick to it and we lean on these values during the process, we are putting ourselves in a better place to succeed in the game. So this next week, I challenge you to take a good hard look at these 3 values see how you can apply them to your own situation, then take that step to get off the sidelines, stop making excuses, and get in the game. We'll see you next week.
Get in the game.
Thank you for listening to the Get in the Game podcast. Please take a second to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. That's the best way to support us. Find us on YouTube and subscribe for more content. If you would like for us to pray for you, or if you have topics that you would like us to tackle in upcoming episodes, email us at getinthegamepodcast@gmail.com. That's getinthegamepodcast@gmail.com. Or hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at getinthegamepc. If you've experienced getting off the sidelines and getting into the game yourself, please let us know. And remember, it's time to get in the game.